Hello and welcome back to the AA NBA podcast. I'm your host, Aiden Hammond.
And I'm Aditya.
And today we've got a lot to catch up on. I've been out of town.
I've had class.
Yeah, Aditya's had class. So we've taken about, 6 or 7 weeks off?
I think, probably 5 or 6.
Yeah. So basically the entire playoffs from the second round on, the draft lottery. So let's just get into it. Dennis Schroeder wants $100 to $120 million a year, or not a year, overall for his next contract.
Yeah. I think what 5 years, 120 or something around that range.
Something like that.
They might get it in China. I don't know what kind of bags they have over there.
Can you imagine if he just became like the next? Who was that? Ahmad Arbery? Or wait, no. Strawberry?
Stephon Marbury?
Yes. I kept wanting to say Starberry.
I mean, that's his nickname.
Yeah, Stephon Marbury. Yeah, when he was like a revolutionary athlete because he went over to China like in his prime
and he made cheap shoes.
Yeah, and he made cheap shoes, but a ton of money.
Yeah.
So maybe Schroeder just does that, like goes over to China in his prime, becomes the greatest Chinese basketball player, second greatest behind Jimmer, of course.
Yeah.
And just revolutionizes the NBA to CBA pipeline again.
I mean, he's gonna have a squad over there. I mean, let's think about it.
Kyle Kuzma, Dennis Schroeder,
Ben Simmons, Andre Drummond, Jeremy Lin will probably be over there. They also, Jimmer dropping buckets.
Yeah,
I mean, they got a squad.
Chris Paul maybe after Game 5 or Game 4. All right, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's start off. We've been a while. So you want to talk about the lottery?
Sure.
All right.
I got that pulled up.
Okay.
So draft lottery.
Let's go from 14 to 1.
14 to 1. So, okay, so 14th pick is the Warriors, which they're looking to trade with Wiseman.
Yes.
13 is the Pacers. 12 is the Spurs. 11 is the Hornets. 10 is the Pelicans. 9 is the Kings. 8 is the Magic. 7 is the Warriors again. 6 is the Thunder. 5 is the Magic. 4 is the Raptors, 3 is the Cavs, 2 is the Rockets, and number 1 is the Detroit Pistons. So that is the entirety of the draft lottery. Unfortunately, the Pistons, by the looks of it, might not draft Cade Cunningham because I don't know why they would not do that, but there have been rumors that they've been looking at Jalen Green or potentially trading the pick or really a lot of things that aren't drafting Cade Cunningham,
So I've got some thoughts on this. First, do you want to go from 14 to 1 or just start off with the Pistons being stupid?
We can start out with the Pistons. I mean, that's the biggest.
All right, so I think that the Pistons, here's the thing. I think Cade Cunningham will be a Piston because it seems like this is one of those, every franchise that gets a high pick in like football and basketball, because hockey and baseball, if you get a super high pick, they don't have as much of an immediate impact, because baseball you have to go through a farm system, and hockey kind of has a similar thing. Hockey is a little different. But in the NBA and NFL, your high pick is going to be starting day 1. So it makes me think of the 49ers. They had the 3rd overall pick this year, or they traded up for the 3rd overall pick, and tried to get rumors swirling that they were going to take Mac Jones, and they ended up taking Trey Lance, who's awesome. And my thing is, I think a lot of franchises do that, and there was no payoff. Like it's not like they had to trick the Jets into drafting Zach Wilson. The Jets wanted Zach Wilson. They wanted Trey Lance. They did not have to trick anybody into drafting anybody. So they were just kind of trying to mess with people. And I kind of think that might be what the Pistons are doing. Now, the 49ers have very smart ownership and coaching in the front office.
And the Pistons.
I don't know about the Pistons. Like, Dwayne Casey's a good coach, but I don't know if he has the decision-making in that organization that Kyle Shanahan does in the 49ers.
Well, another thing is, if you have the number 1 pick, there's no chance of someone maybe trying to draft him ahead of you. You don't have to trick anyone for that. You have the number 1 pick. It's not like there's a number 0 pick that might take Cade Cunningham. It's on you.
But that's my thing, is that like nobody in the first 2 picks was going to take Trey Lance. The 49ers were just trying to mess with people. And I kind of think that it's just like a mind game maybe. Cuz sometimes these franchises with high picks do that sort of stuff. I don't really know why, but it's kind of
Look, Pistons, with your draft history over the last 20 years, don't try to do tricks or
They
anything
might
because
take Josh Giddey first overall.
yeah, because you guys are stupid and draft bad. So just focus on your own draft
and when
before
you make tricks, you get like Greg Monroe.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I do think Jalen Green is awesome. Like, I don't think Jalen Green would be horrible, but I feel like Cade Cunningham is, like, going to be really, really good. And Jalen Green's also going to be really good, but I think it would be, like, taking Trey. Like, if you went back and took Trae Young over Luka first overall in 2018. Like, it's... I feel like that's what it would look like. And you're not getting a bad player. You're getting a really good player, but you could get the best player.
Yeah. And unfortunately for Cade Cunningham, it does look like he's going to get drafted to the Pistons. So
He seemed pretty hype about it, actually. In his
yeah, 'cause
IG Live.
he doesn't know any better. You know, what's he going to say? Don't draft me, Pistons. Like,
I mean, he could. That's what Steve Francis did.
that's true. That is what Steve Francis
It's just
did.
like, I don't want to live in Vancouver. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. Unfortunately, I think he's either going to leave Detroit after his rookie contract or his career is going to die because
I don't know.
Detroit
The
sucks.
thing with, I mean, I would have said the same thing about Charlotte last year with LaMelo, and they look to be in pretty good standing, and he seems to really like Charlotte. And
Sure.
the Pistons don't have the worst roster right now. Like, I like Sadiq Bey a lot. He's awesome. Who's the other guy have? Like, Anthony?
Killian Hayes,
No, the other guy.
Jeremy
Isaiah
Bryant?
Stewart.
Isaiah Stewart
He's good. And then Killian Hayes...
is not good,
Is-
but he
he's
just
okay.
finished his rookie year. So
yeah, he wasn't good
he
to
was
start
pretty,
out.
He was pretty bad.
Yeah, he was bad. But he could be good. It could be like a Darius Garland situation
Yeah,
where his second year he takes a step up.
I'm a firm believer of don't judge a player until the end of their rookie contract, because especially for point guards, it's hard to adjust to the NBA right
Yeah.
away. Like Trae Young did it pretty fast, but that doesn't exactly happen very often.
Yeah.
So
DeAndre Ayton.
he's not a point guard.
No, I know, but he was a player that I think a lot of people were judging after last year because the Suns had still kind of sucked, and now he's a key player on the finals
yeah,
team.
for sure. But yeah, so the Pistons are fine. They just, again, their front office is dumb, and
Yeah.
there's a reason they haven't won anything since 2004.
Yes. Or even been really that close.
Yeah.
It's like 2000. I guess 2006 they were in the Eastern Conference Finals, but after that,
That's like
after like the Chauncey Billups.
yeah. If they didn't make the playoffs like 2 or 3 times over this past decade, they'd be Kings level right now.
Yes.
So
Easily.
yeah,
So number 2, Houston Rockets. Houston Rockets got very lucky because they almost didn't have their pick this year.
oh yeah, it would have gone to the Thunder.
Yeah,
Right?
so I think the Thunder now have their pick next year,
Yeah.
definitely, or is it like top 3 protected because it was top 4
I
protected?
think
this
it's
year.
definitely, but I that's just a rumor. Cause
So they really got to hit on one.
Yeah, they don't have many chances.
Yeah, they got to
get
hit this
right.
year, and I think that the Rockets should draft Evan Mobley. I really like Evan Mobley, and it's either Jalen Green or Evan Mobley, and I think Jalen Green's awesome.
What position's Evan Mobley?
Evan Mobley's a center.
Okay.
And but he's good at spacing the floor, and I think that it kind of depends on what they think about Kevin Porter Jr. Like, do they think Kevin Porter Jr. can be a really good producer, or is some of his production this year just because the Rockets suck and he's getting developmental
What
minutes?
position's Jalen Green?
Like a shooting guard, small forward type.
I gotcha. Okay.
Really
so
athletic
similar to
wing.
Kevin Porter.
Yeah, basically. So it's like, do you want to have 2 guys who are similar to each other with Kevin Porter, and not the same, because Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. are different play styles, but they play similar positions. So would you rather have those 2 guys or have a center, like a really good center? And I think in the NBA, more than every other league, you go with talent. You just go with talent.
Especially when you're a team like the Rockets that's not
Yes.
doing anything anytime soon.
Like, the Rockets are not drafting for a championship. Like, they're not like, we need one more piece. We need to draft for positional value. We need to... And I think the Warriors made this mistake last year, too. Like, they went with the guy that played a position they needed over just the best guy. And the best guy was LaMelo.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I thought it was the right move. And I don't think that James... I mean, we're going to get into talking about James Wiseman and some trade packages.
Yeah.
But LaMelo's a lot better, and I think he could contribute to the Warriors right now, and I don't know if James Wiseman can.
Yeah. It also, I mean, obviously hindsight's 20/20, but when you look at the fact that they missed the playoffs and they probably would have made the playoffs with LaMelo. It really changes.
LaMelo could have won them at least like 5 more games.
Yeah, for sure. Even when he was playing next to Steph Curry, because Steph Curry is obviously really good, but
Steph Curry is the greatest off-ball.
Yeah, he can play off-ball
time.
Wonderfully, and especially when you look at the fact that they didn't have Klay Thompson and they replaced him with Andrew Wiggins. LaMelo.
LaMelo's passing with Steph Curry's off-ball movement would have been like stupid this year.
It would have been so.
And
good.
It would have only continued to get better.
And again, keep in mind the Warriors were in the playoffs, but then they blew the play-in game, so they probably would have been both of them. So they probably would have been like a top 5 or 6 seed in the West if they had LaMelo.
No, I think and it was tight, that like 8-5.
Yeah,
it was really tight. I think LaMelo could have made them better, but I mean, I don't want to sound like I think James Wiseman is not the worst like some Warriors fans.
No, it definitely could have been better, but he's not that bad.
But it kind of comes back to our point about just draft talent.
Yeah,
just draft talent over positional value. But I think that Evan Mobley, I don't know, because it's, now that I think about it, it's like there's a very clear-cut first overall pick this year. There wasn't quite last year, but it was pretty much like either Anthony Edwards or LaMelo.
Yeah.
And then whoever didn't go first was going to go third. Because Wiseman was penciled into the Warriors in like November.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's kind of like, it is kind of like last year where you're like, okay, well, there's this really good center who's super talented, but there's this guard right behind him who's more talented and a little better. Mm-hmm. So is there what do you do if you're the Rockets? And I think that the Rockets, I think I just said that they should go Evan Mobley. And I think I'm going to change my tune, and I think they should go Jalen Green. I think I might talk myself into Jalen Green. It's a little different because it's not like, because LaMelo coming out was not quite as polished as like Jalen Green is right now. Like LaMelo was, I think he shot like 38% from the field or something in Australia. Like he wasn't super efficient. He had some turnovers. Like he wasn't great. Like Jalen Green dominated on the Ignite team. He was really awesome.
Yeah, I think like if you, I don't know because I haven't watched either of them play, Evan Mobley or Jalen Green, but I mean they have Christian Wood to play center too, so it's not like that position is wide open for them. But if you have a player that's really good, you make it work. It doesn't matter whether...
You should definitely watch some of the Ignite team stuff because they have 2 guys who are going to be like top 5 picks. I don't care.
Who's the other one?
Jonathan Kuminga.
Oh, okay.
He might be a top 5 pick. It's not definite, but he might be.
I got you.
So if you don't want to watch it, I get like not wanting to watch college, but the Ignite team is more like the NBA, and they've got 2 guys who are like awesome.
I got you. All right, but yeah, I still stand by, even if you have 2 of the same position, make it work.
Yeah.
But like, don't mess up the draft because of positional need, especially when you're a team that's not winning anything in the next 5 years.
But that brings it back to the Cavs, who have the 3rd overall pick, and we don't need to go through a mock draft for every team. I'm just talking about some of the interesting teams. The Cavs have the 3rd overall pick. I think out of like Suggs, Kuminga, and Mobley, I would take Mobley here. Because here's the deal with the Cavaliers.
If the Rockets don't take him.
If the Rockets don't take him. I'm going to go ahead and say, I guess this is like my own personal mock draft. I'd go Cade, Green, and then the 3rd overall pick with the Cavs have. I would say Mobley because I do think that Mobley is, if he isn't the best player available, he is very, very close. Like, there's a chance that he's better than Jalen Green right now. Like, I do have Jalen Green and Cade Cunningham in a tier at the top of the draft. But then, like, right below that is Mobley. I think Mobley does kind of fit a positional need for the Cavaliers because here's the thing. How much money does Jared Allen want? If Jared Allen wants more than, like, 18, 19, $20 million, I don't know if I pay him.
A year?
That. Yeah.
You're paying $20 million a year for him?
No, I'm saying I don't know if I pay that. If he wants more than 18 or $20 million, I don't know if I'm paying him that.
Right. I think 4 years, 60 is probably good for Jared Allen.
Yeah, I agree. So, like, it's a combination of the best player available and a positional need.
Well, I guess I got to think. I'm sure we can cover this a little bit later, but Sexton is on the trading block, so you got to see what they get in return for him, too.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure.
Because I've thought about this for a while. I think that trading Colin Sexton is actually not a horrible move.
Oh, I think it's a great move.
Because Colin Sexton is really good, but it seems like his teammates don't love him. And I don't know how true that is, but some of the reports have suggested that. And it's also like, he is your best player. He's by far the most valuable player on your roster. Can you get 2 first-round picks for him? Can you get a solid rotation player? If you use this 3rd overall pick, you can get a really good player to build around with Garland and Okoro, and future picks.
Here's the thing. I'm not that high on Sexton, actually, because the way I look at it is he's a slightly inefficient 22-point-per-game scorer on a bad team that doesn't play defense. That is very replaceable in the NBA right now. Terrence Ross can do that for you.
I don't know if Terrence Ross is as good of a scorer as Colin Sexton is, but I get where you're coming from. But if you're like the 76ers...
Especially, you got to look at how much money Sexton wants, too, because...
Well, that's true.
If he wants a lot of money, let him go.
But, the Knicks or the 76ers, you could get a good package from the Knicks. You could get, 2 first-round picks and a guy quickly...
I don't know if I'd want to get Sexton if I'm the 76ers.
I'd do that in a second.
Because he's not going to play make. You're running the offense through Joel Embiid. He's just going to be there to take shots. I think he's a little bit of a
better playmaker than...
No, he averaged 2 assists.
Well, he doesn't pass 2 on the Cavs.
Larry Nance, I don't know.
Well, yeah, exactly. He's got Larry Nance. If he has Joel Embiid, his playmaking is going to open up. And the biggest problem with the Sixers is they don't have any spacing. He's a good shooter. He can drive.
They have. They have Ben Simmons, but they have Seth Curry, Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle.
I would say that Colin Sexton is an upgrade for the 76ers over Ben Simmons.
But that's not
defensively.
That's not saying
but
much.
Overall for the team, I would say that especially come crunch time, he could do that. And
I think on the offensive end, I'm an upgrade from Ben Simmons. That's not saying much. I can shoot a 3 every now and again.
Yeah, that's true. Or wait, no, Quickly's on the Knicks.
Yeah, Quickly's on the Knicks.
I was saying for the Knicks, I think they could give up Quickly in 2 firsts or Toppin in 2 firsts or something like that. And I would take that in a heartbeat.
Toppin has no value.
I don't know. He was pretty good towards the end of the year. He really was. He was good in the playoffs.
The problem is he played 10 minutes a game.
Well, yeah, but that's more Tibbs.
I'm not blaming him for not playing more than 10 minutes a game, but when you're a rookie and you just didn't play much of anything in the NBA, I feel like the impression you get is maybe he either didn't show out in practice or
But at the very least, you get a good developmental prospect, and the Cavs don't have any big guys right now outside of Jared Allen.
Kevin Love. Yeah. Larry Nance.
Exactly. He's probably better than Kevin Love right now, honestly.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That's not saying much, but he probably is. So, if I'm the Cavs, I would trade Sexton, and even if it's the Knicks will probably continue to be at least decent. They're not going to be a dumpster fire, it seems, in the future.
Yeah. For the Cavs, I didn't watch them really at all last year because they were bad. But I don't know how effective it would be to slide Okoro to the 2 because he's 6'5". He's not that big. But if you could move him to the 2, draft a wing, you know what I mean? That could be solid.
Yeah. So the Cavs, I think Evan Mobley would be the best pick there.
Yeah.
And then what else who is another interesting team?
The Raptors have 4.
The Raptors have 4. I think that Suggs or Kuminga would both be. I think I would probably rather have Suggs though. He's an awesome playmaker. He's got
especially because Kyle Lowry's getting old. You know?
Yeah, Kyle Lowry's getting old.
Well, he is old, but
he is old.
He can still
might
play
leave.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Suggs is pretty good. People use his assist to turnover ratio, which I think is kind of a bad stat because it rewards 2 assists the same way it rewards 6, and he averaged 5.5.
Yeah.
I think he's good, and I think he's something I look for in passers is an ability to be aggressive, and I really like his passing aggression. He's willing, he's okay with getting a turnover if it means, and that's something that Ben Simmons doesn't really have. Ben Simmons can rack up 13 assists and only get 1 turnover, but he maybe also leaves a difficult high difficulty pass on the board that could maybe end up being more points.
Yeah.
And Jalen Suggs does not do that. I think he's an awesome passer, and he's a good shooter too, good scorer.
Plus, I know a lot of people say court vision is something you can't teach, but it absolutely is. You can teach maybe not court vision, but you can teach smart passing to somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
Aggression
can't be taught.
Yeah. I'd rather have a player that's aggressive and makes mistakes than a player that's afraid to make mistakes. So that's really hard to get rid of.
Because then you get Ben Simmons passing up a wide open dunk in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals.
That costed them points.
Yeah, that cost them a point. So yeah, I think Suggs is good there. Who else? Who else we
The
got?
Warriors have 2 lottery picks. We
Okay.
should talk about the Wiseman package.
Yes.
They're trying to get what? Who are they trying to get?
There are a couple situations. The Warriors could put together whatever All-Star decides they want out, or whatever team decides they want to just go into a full rebuild. The Warriors would be the first team that could make an attractive package.
I think the Timberwolves part with Cat. Because he'd be a really good center on that team. And I don't know, like the Timberwolves somehow are rebuilding inside of a rebuild. So I don't really know how that works, but they seem like they're giving up on the whole Cat D'Lo thing.
Well, because here's the thing. The Warriors, the center of this package would be James Wiseman in the 7th overall pick.
And the 14th.
And the 14th overall pick, and any future assets in Andrew Wiggins, which is by far the most attractive package.
What if they send Andrew Wiggins back to Minnesota?
I'm back.
That'd be fun.
Andrew Wiggins sends in like the Michael Jordan fax. It just says, I'm back. And they put it in the paper the next day. That would be awesome. So the Warriors could make the most attractive package for Damian Lillard. They could make the most attractive package for Pascal Siakam. They could make the most attractive package for Bradley Beal.
They could make the most attractive package.
Period.
Just in general.
Yes.
Unless you're like the Sixers.
Unless you're the Sixers, but even the Sixers, like, they don't have 2 lottery picks this year that they can give up.
Yeah, but they don't need a back. They don't want to trade for a backup center at that point. You know what I mean?
Oh well, yeah. I would say, I think a Pascal Siakam trade is a lot more likely than people are giving it credit for. Because I think James Wiseman, the 7th and the 14th pick, could very easily get Pascal Siakam.
Yeah, I mean, the Raptors, I think, would accept that in a heartbeat. You get a really young center, you have 3 lottery picks this year.
Yeah, you get the 4th, like the 4th and 7th could get you some combination of Jalen Suggs, Jonathan Kuminga, Kai Jones, Moses Moody. Like, that's a really good, like a young guard, a young wing, and a young center is like one of the perfect, like it's a perfect thing to start off the rebuild with.
Plus, I don't know exactly what the Raptors are thinking in terms of rebuilding or keeping assets, but like, I don't think this is a hot take. Pascal had a down year last year.
Yeah,
so his trade stock isn't as high as it could be. So I think this is the best thing you can get if you're trying to rebuild.
But I do think that Pascal Siakam would be great on the Warriors.
Oh, for sure. They get the most out of all their players. Like anybody, if you want to extend your career or have a like really good season, go to the Warriors.
Yes, they made Jordan Poole look pretty good last year.
They made Andrew Wiggins play defense. I mean, that's hard to do. So.
That's true. So I think that is a very likely, and then I think Damian Lillard is the other one, where if Damian Lillard decides he wants out, I think he'll be a Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Unless he says he doesn't want to be a Warrior. But I think I think he'd be fine with it because he's from Oakland. It's as close to a guaranteed ring as he's gonna get because he's not gonna like the Knicks.
The Lakers.
The Lakers will not happen. The Lakers do not have the assets to make that work.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a good player that they can give up. Like they literally
have Kyle Kuzma, so you know.
You're telling me Kyle Kuzma and Talen Horton-Tucker are a better center?
Talen Horton-Tucker is a max player.
Oh my god, dude.
But yeah, I don't know if I love the Dame and Golden State thing though, because I just don't think it fits as well, especially if Klay Thompson comes back.
I mean,
like
we said that about Kevin Durant. I mean, we were like, oh, they've got 3 excellent scorers. How could they possibly make that work? And then they won. And then they went like 16-1.
The difference is that Kevin Durant at the time was the second best player in the NBA. Dame is like top
Curry
7,
is.
top 8. Yeah, but Curry was then too.
Well, yeah.
Or not top 2, but like he was top 3, top 4. Like and they didn't play the same position, and have pretty like Dame. Dame
is much.
He can pass more. Don't get me wrong.
Curry is.
Yeah, but at the same time, they are both really score first players.
I don't know.
And even
hard
though
for
again,
me to say...
with Kevin Durant, they play different positions. Like you're gonna have 2 6'2" guards that don't play defense out there. Like with Kevin Durant, he improved his defense. They had Klay Thompson on the wing too. Right now, you're wheeling out a Klay Thompson off of 2 knee injuries and 2 point guards that don't play defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like-
but it's also like you could say the same thing about the Nets. Like the Nets don't have really any good defensive wings or defensive guards, and I think they probably will roll through the East next year if they're healthy.
I mean, Kevin Durant's not a bad defender. Like, Steph Curry is a bad defender.
He's not, but I mean,
Dame
he's
Lillard
not
is a-
great. Like Kyrie Irving's not a good defender. James Harden's not a good defender.
James Harden's a pretty solid defender.
He's okay. He's not
Okay is better than bad.
But the Warriors at least would have one good defender on the wing. Like even if you think Klay Thompson's gonna lose a step, he was like the best 3-and-D player in the league last time
Sure,
he played.
but, you know, defense, while it's not entirely based on athleticism, you do have to be able to move pretty quickly if you're guarding the other team's best player.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I think it's hard to think of a team that's going to outscore that group. And it's also like Steph Curry and Dame, like those might be the two most clutch players in the NBA like right now. At least Damian Lillard is, and Steph Curry was pretty clutch this year. Like you can make the argument for Durant, you can make the argument for LeBron, but that's two of the top 5 guys right there in terms of like crunch time possessions. Like there aren't.
You can make an argument for Iguodala. You can make an argument for a lot of guys. Jay Crowder.
Yeah, Jay Crowder, Iguodala, Chris Paul. Chris Paul in every other quarter but the fourth quarter of Game 4.
Yep. That's the sad truth.
Yeah, so I think that team is probably the best in the West. Maybe not. Probably.
Maybe not.
But I think that they are.
They're definitely. I mean, they're a top 4 lock. I think if they
Yes.
get Dame Lillard, they're definitely a top 4 lock.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
And I would not. I don't know if I would. I don't think I would consider that a super team. By the way.
I wouldn't either. I mean, Klay Thompson by this point probably isn't an all-star.
Yeah.
So.
But it's not like they're losing. Like they wouldn't trade Draymond. I don't know if the.
Well, Draymond's not an all-star either. I mean,
Yeah. But like they would keep Dre, they would keep Curry, they would keep Clay, and get Lillard. Like that's pretty nice.
That is pretty nice.
That's not a bad starting 5, especially if they're able to keep like Looney too.
Yeah. I don't know. Is he a free agent?
No, I think he's got one more year.
Okay. Yeah, he's pretty solid. So, yeah, that's a potential. I think Cat is pretty good too. And then
If
other
they
than
could
that,
get Cat, that would be ridiculous.
yeah, because he's a 40% 3-point shooter already. I mean.
And that would also give that would be probably a. I don't know if that would be a better move than Dame.
The Timberwolves have.
But they would give this.
They don't have a pick. They'd just be getting their pick back.
They'd get their pick back. They'd get the 14th pick. They'd get Wiseman, and then probably another first-round pick in the future or 2.
Yeah.
Um,
Other than that, I mean,
but they'd get the top 2 players last year. Like,
Yeah.
That's not bad.
again, I think I want to see the Raptors. Not because, I mean, Pascal to Golden State would be cool, but because I want the Raptors to be really good.
I want to see the Raptors run out a lineup of Jalen Suggs, Moses Moody, and James Wiseman, and just start like 3 guys under 20.
And they'd have another lottery pick too.
Yeah, I want to see them start 3 guys under 20. I think that would be
It
so
could
sick.
be, it'd be 4.
And watch them develop together. Well, I don't know who they would pick at 14. They might pick an
that's
older
true.
guy.
That's fair.
But like,
I don't know if they can keep Kyle Lowry to like mentor Jalen Suggs too. That'd be good. Even if
I don't think
he'd
Kyle
want to,
Lowry
but,
is
like-
doing him. Is it a mentorship part of his career? I think he's still got some gas in the tank,
he does, but like
some junk in the trunk.
you guys didn't hear that. Anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted, I don't know how loyal he is to Toronto. Like he might just stay there for the rest of his career. He might go somewhere else.
He
I
might,
don't know.
but I don't know. Maybe he retires as a Raptor, like comes back in 3 years. But he's 36, 35.
I think he's 36.
I think he's got some. I think he's got a little bit more contention left in him. I think he is kind of.
Yeah, but he already won his ring. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know what else
Future
he
Hall of
wants.
Famer Kyle Lowry.
I mean,
He's gonna be.
He's
No,
gonna
he will be.
yeah.
I'm not saying that like a joke. He's gonna be in the Hall
yeah,
of Fame.
for sure.
Sadly,
but yeah, I mean, other than those are like the important lottery teams. I don't know. You
Yeah.
can say like
Pacers first lottery pick in like a decade.
since Paul George, yeah,
Yeah.
God,
God, was that really the last lottery pick we had?
I think so.
I think that was the last top 10 pick we had, and it was 10th.
What's the last top 5 pick the Pacers have had?
Rick Smits, 1988.
Really
Yeah, second overall.
nice. I didn't know that was like the most recent one.
No, it is. It's really
That's
sad.
That's bad.
Rick Smits is awesome, but it's
Bad that
It sucks that
1988
we've
was
been
our
so-
last top 5 pick. We've been so mediocre.
yeah.
for
It's
so
not like
long.
we've been like a dynasty. Like it's not like the Spurs.
We've
where
had like 4 good
like
years.
the Spurs haven't had a lottery pick in a while, but at least they've won like 5 championships.
Yeah.
The Pacers have been like the 4 seed.
We've had 4 teams that could maybe win the championship, but then ran up against LeBron or Kobe
I'd rather
and
be that than the
Shaq or-
Kings.
That's
right?
true, yeah. Because the Pacers,
I would rather be bad once in a while just so that we can get a good pick.
but the Kings aren't bad once in a while. They're
they're
bad
all
year
the-
after
they're-
year
they're-
after
they
year.
They retool and they're just always like the 13th.
They don't retool. There's no retooling with the Kings. It's just rebuild.
Yeah, it's just constant, never-ending rebuild. I think that's
They
significantly
rebuild,
worse
it
than
fails, then they rebuild again, and then
Yeah.
it fails, and now they're rebuilding again. So,
being, and it will likely fail.
yeah, probably.
Oh, one more thing. Let's talk about Ben Simmons.
What about him?
Ben Simmons trade packages. A dude I follow on TikTok named Bladen Kirk put out this package, and I don't hate it. De'Aaron Fox for Ben.
If I'm the Kings, I say no already.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. But Ben Simmons quickly. Wait, do they have quickly
No,
and Maxey? I always forget
Maxey.
which,
Quickly's on the
young
Knicks.
rookie they have.
They have Maxi.
Yeah. Ben Simmons, Maxey, Thibault, 2 first-round picks.
Do you give up Fox for Simmons? I already say no. Like, that's...
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same thing, but
Because at that point...
think about how awesome De'Aaron Fox would be with Joel Embiid.
That would be
That
awesome.
would be pretty sick.
But again, from the King... I mean, the Kings are dumb, so they might do it, but, like, Fox is
What
the
about
only...
like 4 first-round picks?
They'll mess it up. First-round picks have no value to the Kings. They're bad at drafting. Like,
A top 5 pick and the 25th pick have the exact same value to the Kings.
yeah, like...
They'd probably draft the
De'Aaron
same
Fox
guy.
is the only thing they've done right in the last 10 years, and you're trading that for Ben Simmons? Like, come on.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I just thought I'd throw it out there because I did kind of like the thought of Fox getting out of that hellhole. in
He
Sacramento.
re-signed. I can't,
Well, that's true.
it's on him at that point. Can no longer feel bad for him because he re-signed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all we got for lottery. I mean, that's all the like important teams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All the important trades that could come from the draft anyway.
Yes. All right, let's get into the playoffs.
The playoffs.
So the last time we left off, I think that the Clippers had just won Game 7
Against the Mavericks.
Yes, against the Mavericks. So second round of the NBA playoffs. So what series did we have? We had Clippers Jazz. We had Suns Nuggets. Suns in 4.
Nets Bucks.
Nets Bucks and Sixers Hawks. So let's save the Eastern Conference for last because those were like by far the best 2 series.
Yeah.
Nuggets Suns. The Nuggets were just outmatched. I mean, not having Jamal Murray hurt, they probably could have. But even then, like they.
I
Probably
think they
still,
would have lost in 5 or 6
Yeah,
even with Jamal
I
Murray.
agree. The Suns were just different that series. That's just marker.
Oh, I thought you were like cutting off your circulation or something.
No. My watch is not on that tight.
Okay.
And then Clippers Jazz. This was a good, not great series.
It would have been better if players were healthy, but they had like a 50-day off season.
tore his ACL.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard hurt himself. Donovan Mitchell hurt himself. Mike Conley hurt himself.
Yeah.
It was not.
This was a kind of a bad series.
Yeah. It was good for the players we had. It was bad because we didn't have all the players.
I was kind of rooting for the Clippers in this playoffs, if I'm being honest. Like, I like the Clippers. Like, Steve Ballmer's kind of a knucklehead. I think he's hilarious. And then, I love Kawhi. I love Terrence Mann. I don't love Paul George, but I do think he gets slandered a little bit more heavily than he deserves by the larger NBA community. So I was fine with the Clippers. Like, I would have probably preferred Donovan to win, but I don't think... Like, I think Clippers Suns was a better series than Jazz Suns would have been.
Oh, for sure. Well, actually, I don't know, but if both teams were healthy, I think Jazz Suns would have been really good because
Well,
the
that's
season
true.
series was insane.
Yeah. So, yeah, we had that one. And now the Eastern Conference. Ice Trey Young.
Oh.
The best player in basketball right now.
Okay, hold on one moment.
All right. Trey Young was the story of this playoffs up until the finals. This was his
Cinderella year.
Yeah, this was his Cinderella year. This was his official, I am here, give me attention.
This was his official don't put me in the All-Star game again, bitch season,
exactly.
you know? That's what he accomplished.
Nate McMillan immediately got an enormous contract.
4-year,
like $100 million.
Something. I don't know. That's
exactly what he
exactly
deserved. I don't know if that's what he got.
Well, that's an NBA player contract. Yeah. I don't know if that's what he got.
Yeah, I think Nate McMillan would probably deserve it, though. Probably.
Probably not. I don't.
Anyway, this was probably the most fun I had watching a series all playoffs. Because
it was really good.
I don't particularly care for the 76ers. I'm okay with Joel Embiid, but he's kind of annoying sometimes, and I don't like Ben Simmons. I like the rest of the Sixers or whatever, but I really don't like Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid annoys me. So watching them lose was pretty fun.
It was a good series, though.
Yeah, it was a great series, especially the last 3 games, because Game 5 was the comeback, right? I believe so, because it was in Philly.
Yes.
Game 5 was the comeback. That was a ridiculous.
It was like a 20-point comeback.
25.
25.
They were down like
yeah.
83 to 58 at one point.
Yeah.
And then Game 6 and 7 were super close. And Game 7 is one of the most heartbroken I've ever been for a team that I don't like. That was probably, I was like, oh my God. Because, like, I was rooting for the Hawks, and I obviously wanted them to win, but when the team you're rooting for wins a game like that, it's kind of just demoralizing, honestly. Like,
when they win because the opposing team's player did a bad thing.
Like, it was embarrassing. I was embarrassed for Ben Simmons. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah.
I think the statistic.
He had secondhand embarrassment.
Yeah, exactly. I think the statistic was that he missed 49 free throws or something, which I think
he shot 34% from the free throw line in the playoffs.
Which I think still is more than any team has missed.
I think it's a record.
The Bucks might have passed them because they missed kind of a lot of free throws a couple nights ago, but.
Mm-hmm.
Like he missed more free throws in multiple entire conference finals teams by the time he was out of it. So that was depressing. And then, like, I saw a bunch of people on Twitter saying it felt like that play where he passed up a wide open dunk was kind of the defining play of his career at this point. Yeah. Like, that is the play I think
he doesn't have any crazy plays.
No,
like,
he doesn't.
Only big... Like, his crazy plays are lowlights. He passed up that shot and he made a corner 3. Those are his career highlights. Like,
yeah. Part of the thing I love about sports is it's almost like a movie a lot of the time. And it felt like
this summer's going to be a movie.
That one, like, squeaky noise on TikTok of all the shoes just, like... Have you seen that? It's like in a party with a... Oh, I gotta show you those videos. They're funny. But it's like... You can kind of see the turning point and, like, in the story as it happens live. Like, this is what we're gonna talk to our kids about. Like, we're gonna be like, yeah, it's like when Michael Jordan did X thing. It's like Ben Simmons, when he missed that dunk, it changed his career and it changed the trajectory of, like, the entire 76ers roster.
Yeah.
So it's just like
you can blame Doc Rivers for being a bad playoff coach as much as you want, but that was not on him.
Yeah, Doc Rivers did not, like, I saw somebody say Ben Simmons, the only way the Sixers could have lost that series is if Ben Simmons played as poorly as he possibly could have, and he did.
And he did it.
And he did. He was the worst possible.
He was the worst player on the court almost at all times.
Yes. And
he's a max player right now.
And his defense was...
Not even worth it because he got burned on the pick and roll.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think wing defense is overrated. Give me one good defensive anchor in the post, and I think that's... I'd much rather have that. And Ben Simmons is the most overrated defensive player in basketball right now. It's ridiculous because Trae Young fucking torched him for a majority of that series.
Yeah. He couldn't guard the pick and roll.
Trae Young had a couple inefficient games, but it wasn't like that was Ben Simmons. That's kind of just how Trae Young is. He's a shooter. He's going to take 30 shots a game. Sometimes he's going to make 20. Sometimes he's going to make 10.
Sometimes he'll make 3.
Sometimes he'll make 3. And you know what? He's not going to stop shooting, which is why he's better than Ben Simmons.
The way I think about it is, like, when you think of the best perimeter defenders, Gary Payton comes to mind, Michael Jordan. But, like, when you think of Michael Jordan, you're not thinking, his defense was just...
His perimeter defense? Oh, my God.
Yeah, and Gary Payton... He's not in any of your top 5 point guards of all time lists because he won that Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
When you think of guys like Hakeem, the most notable thing about him was like obviously his footwork, but like he was the best defender in the NBA for a long time.
Yeah, Ben Wallace.
Yeah, Ben Wallace made it to the Hall of Fame because of his.
All of the guys who are like 10 or 4-time defensive player of the year winners are all centers. Yeah. Like it's Dwight Howard and it's Ben Wallace who have won.
Well, Gary Payton has the only point guard defensive player of the year, right?
I think he's one of like 3 guards. I think Michael Jordan is one of the only other guards.
Well, I'm saying like point guard only. I think it's just Gary Payton.
Yeah. And then you think about it and you look back at the defensive player of the years. How many perimeter defenders are winning that award? Yeah. It's always the center. It's like the last 10 years. It's like I think Kawhi won one in like 2016, and then it's like
but he's not. He's a
Giannis
court
Giannis is a little bit of a freak, but he's like he doesn't really guard on the perimeter as much. He's mostly like in the paint, rim protection sort of thing.
You remember when Giannis was doing that thing where he like this isn't about defense, but like thinking about Giannis as a freak. The only thing I can think of is when he like you remember like 2 years ago when his biggest play was he'd get into the paint and just dunk without jumping, and he'd like dunk on someone while just standing.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
But like the last 5 Defensive Player of the Year winners, it's like been Gobert 3 times, Giannis, and then I think Kawhi was like 2016.
Yeah.
And then before that, it's like how many guards were there? It's like Ben Wallace, Dwight Howard always winning it, Marc Gasol, like. Yeah. So anyway, that's my tangent about perimeter defense. It is not nearly as important as people like having a really great like Ben Simmons' perimeter defense is like 10% of important. Like it's. I'm trying to say this. It's like. It's so much less important. Being good on defense is so much less important for a point guard than your offense. It's almost ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, because think about, like, Ben Simmons can play really good defense, but, like, how often is he shutting down the other team's best player? Like,
well, I think it's also a lot harder to stop a perimeter player anyway, because in the post, there's not as much place to move. When you're in the perimeter, you have all the space to move. You have the pick and roll. You have, other people moving around. It's just so much harder to stop that it's not worth investing in as much.
It's one of those things where it's like it's good to have, but like Ben Simmons' defense is like I've been saying Trae Young over Ben Simmons for the entire season, and people thought I was crazy. Like Noah thought I was crazy.
Yeah, but Noah hates Trae Young.
Well, that's true. But did you think I was crazy, or did you kind of get where
I can't remember, honestly, from again. I don't think I thought it was crazy. I might have had Ben Simmons over him, but I don't think it was like a crazy hot take.
Yeah, that probably was what it was. But when I look at guards, I'm like, okay, how good are you on offense? And then like Steph Curry, nobody's like, oh, Steph Curry, not a top point guard of all time because his defense isn't that great. It's like, no, he had so much value on offense that it doesn't matter.
Well, let's look at the top 5 point guards of all time. Magic Johnson. He was a pretty good defender. I wouldn't say he was some elite, defensive player of the year level defender. Steph Curry didn't play defense. John Stockton, not really a defensive player. Isaiah Thomas played pretty good defense. Steve Nash didn't play any defense whatsoever.
John Stockton was 6 foot, like 160.
Yeah.
Even if he tried to play defense, which he didn't, he wouldn't have been good at it.
Yeah. Who else could be? Chris Paul.
Chris Paul's like defender. An 8-time all defense. Yeah. Good defender.
He's a good defender.
But how much does that matter for his game? Like when you
no one cares about his defense.
When you think of Chris Paul, like that's the thing is when I think of Chris Paul, I'm gonna remember Chris Paul for having those like little post fadeaways, being like almost unstoppable, especially in this playoff run, and being the best facilitator in the NBA for like 10 years.
Yeah.
That's
the only guard I can think of aside from Ben Simmons where the first thing that comes to mind is his defense is Jrue Holiday. And he's still a 20-point per game scorer.
I mean, I'm
talking like current.
Oh, yeah.
Gary Payton, obviously like Gary Payton, yeah, but like in current
when
NBA,
your name's the glove, it's hard to be like, oh yeah, Gary Payton was a really good perimeter shooter or whatever.
Man, that Gary Payton guy, he could put the ball in the basket.
Gary Payton was awesome offensively, but like
that's not what you think of.
So good, yeah.
You're not going to have an old guy that's like, man, that Gary Payton fellow, he could really put the ball in the basket.
Gary Payton was not like shutting down Michael Jordan in the finals.
No, he was just a really good.
Gary Payton was awesome defensively. They lost that series in 6.
The way I look at it is like guards that are going to drop 20 are going to drop 20. You're not. It's a lot harder to stop.
Yeah.
Like Joel Embiid had multiple. Remember when he got clamped by Marc Gasol and put up 0?
Yes.
That doesn't happen with point guards.
Yeah. No, it's like It's like this season when the Nets played the Sixers and like Ben Simmons was getting Defensive Player of the Year buzz, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, Ben Simmons should get it. Ben Simmons should get it." And you looked at Kyrie's stat line, and he had like 40 points on 17 of 38 shooting, and it was like, okay, like yeah, he had to take 38 shots, but he also still put the ball in the basket. Like it's not like Ben Simmons was. And the other thing is, you cannot directly prevent points. You can directly prevent points at the rim by smacking the ball away. You can't do that on the perimeter. It's all about, like, intangibles.
Yeah. I mean, think about it, even that Celtics playoff run that we joke about all the time where Kyrie's like, I'm not shooting 7 for 22 again.
And he shot 6 for 22.
Yeah, but like, even then, he had like 20 points.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to happen.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's all to say that Ben Simmons is bad. At least for the Sixers, and
he'll play some great defense in China. That's all I'm gonna say.
Maybe he could. I mean, I do think he's gonna get 2 first-round picks.
Oh, yeah.
Some team will give up 2 first-round picks.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Kings did that trade. Like, as much as I think it's stupid, the Kings are also incredibly stupid.
Yes.
And they don't even have a GM anymore because Vlade Divac stepped down.
Yeah, I don't even know who they're acting. Is the president?
I have no idea.
Acting as their current. I don't know.
Because Peja left too.
So yeah, Trae Young's awesome. Now we got the Nets Bucks.
That's sad to think about because like the Bucks won and I'm happy because I didn't want the Nets to win it all, but it would have been like a better series if the Nets were healthy.
It was an awesome series as it was.
Because think about the first 2 games, the Nets won handily,
and
then Harden and Kyrie didn't play, and they
actually Game 3 was ugly, but Kyrie and Durant both played. It did feel like the Bucks had kind of figured it out at Game 3. It felt like the Bucks were like, okay, all we need to do is let Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving do whatever they want, and as long as nobody else does anything, we'll be fine. And they won. And then, Game 4 happens. Good game, but Kyrie gets hurt, and it felt like it was like, oh.
Yeah, and then James Harden came back, even though he was clearly not even close to healthy yet. And then Kevin Durant lost the game because his toe was on the line.
Kevin Durant was so stupid those last 3 games of the series. Like, he was putting up 40 on, like, 25 to 30 shots.
Yeah, he was playing out of his mind.
It was some of the best basketball I've ever seen anybody play in. It might be the best 3-game stretch I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, it was.
No, he was incredible. And again, he
ridiculous.
single-handedly almost won a game, but his toe was a little too big. Like,
yeah. So Game 5 was good. Game 5, but that pass where Giannis fumbled it, I was like, that's the series right there. That is it.
And it wasn't.
And it wasn't. And then Game 6, the Bucks went home court. You remember that one Reggie Miller tweet where he was like, if you're Steve Nash, are you just resting James Harden and Kevin Durant in Game 6 and pushing all your chips in the middle of the table? And everybody was like, no, what are you talking about, dude? Like, of course not. What do you mean?
Can we talk about that? Was Steve Nash the worst coach in the playoffs this year?
I
think Terry Stotts was
out of all of the top 6 teams.
I think Terry Stotts was worse, but he got bounced first round. I think Steve. Well, I mean, obviously, like Scott Brooks is bad, but he was an 8 seed, so I'm not gonna. Yeah, that doesn't really count.
I'll count of all the top 6 teams. I think the only coach who's
top 6 meaning top 3 seeds in each conference.
No, top 6 is in top 6 in both conferences.
Okay. Then if we're doing top 6 in each conference, I think Terry Stotts was the worst coach, and then I think in terms,
I would say Terry Stotts.
And then Steve Nash, and then in terms of playoff performance only, Mike Budenholzer.
Mike Budenholzer, at the very least, has made some defensive adjustments in between games. Like, he's been not during the games because he's terrible situationally, but at the very least, he can review the tape and he can say, maybe we should guard Devin Booker a little more. Steve Nash was not doing that. He was not, and maybe part of it was just that the Nets don't have the personality to guard Giannis,
and injuries.
But
I also think it was inexperience.
But he was I
don't think he's even coached any other form of basketball.
Was DeAndre Ayton hurt? He didn't play, or DeAndre Jordan.
Well, he's also bad.
He's bad, but Jesus, throw a bunch of shit at the wall and see what sticks. That's part of what being an NBA coach is.
Yeah.
If Giannis is torching you for 40 points.
It's trial and error.
Maybe put in the 1 7-footer you guys have left.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just try it. Just try it out.
Well, because Nick Claxton wasn't. I mean, he was bad.
Nick Claxton wasn't doing anything. Blake Griffin was kind of the Giannis stopper, but Giannis was still dropping 30 on him.
Yeah.
Jeff Green played okay defense, but the best Jeff Green could do was foul him. You're telling me you can't just put DeAndre Ayton there, have him
DeAndre Jordan.
or what? Yeah, DeAndre Jordan in there, have him stick both of his hands up. Like, at the very least, try it. Like, it probably isn't gonna work, but like, who cares? The best coaches try it.
Yeah.
Like, Monty Williams has been trying it all playoffs. He's been trying to figure out, he can't, but he's been trying to figure out how to guard Giannis this entire series.
Yeah.
And it's not really working, but he's still trying it, and he's still figured out ways to beat the Bucks in other ways. Like, he's still figured out how to make Drew Holiday inefficient, and how to make Chris Middleton inefficient.
Or Chris Middleton does that to himself sometimes.
Well, he does, but I don't want to take away from the Suns. I think that their defense has been awesome.
Oh,
in the
for
finals
sure,
so
yeah.
far, especially perimeter. Not really interior because DeAndre Ayton cannot guard Giannis.
Yeah, well, he's not that great of a defender anyway. I mean.
Yeah.
But I got like Mikal Bridges is a really good defender.
Yeah.
Jay Crowder is a good defender. Cam Johnson's improved a little bit defensively.
Cam Johnson's not the worst anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
I do think like even though a bunch of people meme about like how unimportant he is, I feel like Dario Saric being hurt does impact the series at least a little bit
Oh, I
because
think it
he's a
does.
solid player.
I
Even
mean,
though people are
it's
like,
another-
oh, who is he? He's not important. Like he's a good player.
I think people underrate the impact just a big body can have.
Yeah.
Especially when the other team's best player is a big body. Like, just having another guy that you can be like, okay, well, maybe he can. And Dario Saric isn't the worst at, like, moving laterally.
Yeah,
Like,
he's a solid player. He's
fine
been in the
at it.
league for like 6 years because of it.
Yeah.
But like, it's one of those things where you're not going to look back at the series and say, "Man, if only the Suns
Dario
had
Saric
Dario
really
Saric."
changed the tides
Yeah,
there.
but it is something to note.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely important.
Yeah. So that was, I mean, Game 7 was probably the best game I've watched this whole playoffs because Kevin Durant was just stupid and Giannis and Chris were just stupid and it felt like a real clash of the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was everything. Like, there was that Kevin Durant buzzer beater. There was the Kevin Durant going 0 for 6 in the overtime period, but it still felt like even when he was 0 for 4, it still felt like he was going to make the next shot because that's just what he was doing. And then my favorite player moved on to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I was like, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. So all well that ends well.
Yeah. I've been rooting for the Bucks this whole playoffs. I'm not stopping now. I'm rooting for them in the finals.
I do want to say, I have been rooting for the Suns.
Yeah, no, he has. Well, he's been rooting for the Suns since he just roots for whatever team Chris Paul's on.
Yeah,
Like,
because the Pacers weren't
it's
in the
the
playoffs.
Pacers and then kind of the Bulls.
But
and
they're
then
not making the playoffs.
His
so.
second favorite team is half the Bulls and then half whatever team Chris Paul is on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, he's been... And I was rooting for the Suns throughout the Western Conference and then kind of the Clippers, but also I was fine with the Suns. And then now I'm like, okay, Giannis is my favorite player. I'm rooting for the Bucks.
That's
But
fair.
I'd be fine with Chris. Like, I don't care about Chris Paul or Booker.
Either way, it's fine. Because either Giannis gets a ring and he becomes... I mean, he's already is a Hall of Famer, but, like, he becomes, like, even
the
higher
best
on, like,
26-year-old of all time
Yeah.
by about a mile. Like,
Yeah, no, his legacy gets that much better. Or Chris Paul wins the ring, and that's pretty awesome.
and it
'cause I love
cements
Chris
him.
Paul.
And he... Do you think he would retire? Or do you think he's...
I don't
still
think
play
he.
more?
I think he'd still play. I mean, even if it's not, this, I think he'd still be around the league.
Yeah.
Just because I mean, he's been doing that for the past few years. He goes to young teams like the
When he
Thunder.
comes to the Pacers,
Hey, Chris,
brings us a finals.
big fan.
Everybody
here.
in the Eastern Conference gets hurt. I take it. Like, if the Suns win, nobody's gonna be like, oh yeah, a good player on every team was hurt. It's just gonna be in 10 years. It's gonna be the Suns won.
Yeah.
Like, who cares if Anthony
Well,
Davis was hurt?
every year people are like, oh, this season doesn't count. There's an asterisk, but then no one cares. Like
The
5
only
years
season
later.
I think that actually, like, I could see the argument for is the bubble, but I also think that's kind of bullshit.
It is done. I
But,
mean, they
like,
played through it. Like,
No
it's-
fans, like, I do understand maybe the argument there, but it's still
Well,
like stupid.
you got to look at it this way. You want to put an asterisk on, or do you want no playoffs at all? Like, deal
That's
with
true. I'd much rather have an asterisk than no playoffs.
it. Yeah. So, like, shut up.
Like, in 20 years, we're not going to be talking about the Lakers' 17th banner. We're just going to be talking about the 17 championships. And hopefully it's not any more than 17 in 20 years.
Pacers in 20 years will be at 19, so look out.
That's true. Next year, 19 straight. The streak begins. So, yeah, I think that was the best series.
Yeah.
Bucks net, or at least the best last 3 games. And Game 6 kind of sucked. Game 5 and Game 7.
Was Game
were good.
6 the game Jeff Green had like 30?
No, that was Game 7.
Was it?
Or no, Game 5 was the game Jeff Green.
Okay, 5.
Because that was in Brooklyn.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, no, that was...
That was
second round. Conference finals.
Conference finals. Suns, Clippers, also not super interesting. Like, Kawhi didn't play. I think if Kawhi played...
Paul George threw 2 games.
Yeah, but he was really good.
He was really... It doesn't matter how...
He was really good.
Bro,
I know he missed the free throws, but like...
Two clutch free throws in a row. Back to back. Back to back. In multiple games. He could have won. The Clippers would have been in the finals right now if he didn't miss those free throws.
But DeAndre Ayton, like, the Suns also did get pretty lucky with that value. Like that was, you had to make the perfect pass. Ayton had to make the perfect play,
and they executed it.
They executed it. Like, I guess lucky is the wrong word, but like.
But it wouldn't like.
That's one of the stupidest plays I've ever seen live. Like, whenever it's the last couple seconds of a game and the game's tied, I'm always just like, why not throw an alley-oop?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, because that's very unrealistic. Like, that's the thing that 10-year-olds suggest you do.
There was no other play. They didn't have any time on the clock. No. As soon as they inbound the ball, and
it was 1.6, I think.
I thought it was 0.8.
Or yeah, it was 0.8.
Like, as soon as you inbound the ball, as soon as someone touches a game,
actually, I think 0.2. I think you have to have 0.2 to get a shot off.
Right, 0.8's above 0.2.
Yeah, I know. So they could have like thrown it to Cam Johnson or something in the corner. Or something.
But like I'm just saying, because the clock starts once they get the ball. You'd have to catch the ball, turn around, unless he throws it behind his back.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So what I'm saying, that was like again, if Paul George makes his free throws, that lob doesn't matter.
Yeah. That's true.
Even if he makes one of the two, I mean, it still matters. But like,
wait, that tied the game. That was because they were down 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If Paul George made one of his 2 free throws,
that's true. Yeah, I mean, but he was also their only offense. Like, I'm not gonna. Paul George was really good.
Look,
like,
I'm not saying he was bad. I'm saying
he wasn't
free
clutch.
throw. You have to. I mean, no matter how tired you are, one of the 2 has to go.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
You could have played 48 minutes in double overtime.
Yeah.
Make one of your 2 free throws. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's true. And then the Eastern Conference Finals were also kind of not great.
I didn't love them. I mean, it was cool seeing the Hawks take Game 1, but other than that, nothing important really happened.
Yeah, I mean, Giannis. Okay, I do feel like this was okay. So Trae gets hurt, and then Giannis gets hurt, and it was like, here we go again. Like, Giannis is going to be out for the playoffs, and then he comes back like 2 games later. Like, did you see how his knee bent? I thought he broke his leg. Like,
yeah. What was it, hyperextended? I mean, he played through the injury.
A hyperextension is not something you
I mean, you can see he was limping like after the game. Like, he was not healthy.
Yeah.
But they needed him to win, so.
Yeah. I liked I mean, it's always fun to see a player like the Bucks are the closest. If the Bucks win the championship this year, that's the closest I think I'm ever going to get to the Pacers winning the championship, because it's like my favorite
until next year when they win 19 straight.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like my favorite player on a team that I'm whatever with. Like, if he went to the Lakers, it would be a little different, but like, he's on the smallest market team in the league.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite player on a super small market team, which I always root for the small market in the playoffs. And then like, it's not a player that I just started liking. Like, I've loved Giannis for years since he like kind of got on the national stage. I was like, this guy's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a player, like, it's like you with Chris Paul, kind of. Like, a guy I've, not nearly the same, because you've watched Chris Paul for like 15 years, but...
Well, not, I mean, 12, 13, somewhere around there, yeah.
But like, it's like my favorite player on a team that I like, and then, I don't know. It's always cool to see a guy like that go to the finals. Like, it's Chris Paul.
Yeah. And I think, no matter like what the outcome, we'll talk about the finals here in a second, but like, regardless of what happens... Like, even if you're a diehard Suns fan and the Bucks win and you're really sad, like, this playoffs has been incredible.
Oh, my God, yeah. This is the most, like, I don't think you could have asked for anything better. I mean, obviously, a championship.
You could have, I mean.
But, like, going in, I thought they were going to lose in 5 to the Lakers. Like, I had the Lakers in 5.
I mean, I'm saying, like, even if, like, obviously in the context of Suns and Bucks fans, but just as a general NBA fan, this playoffs has been really entertaining.
This has been the best playoffs in years.
Yeah.
Like,
since
I think it's
probably like 2012, 2013, I would say.
2016 was pretty
2016
good.
Finals was good, but the rest of the playoffs
2016 finals were not good, though. Like,
2016 Game 7 was
straight blowouts,
no,
and then
2016 Game 7 was good. The rest of the playoffs were not. Like, this entire
I don't know,
playoffs,
that Warriors Thunder series was pretty awesome.
That's true. That again, but I guess it like.
But like, it feels like there have been more excellent series than there haven't.
Yeah. Like this play, the only series I could think of that weren't super great. What obviously like the 1-8, 2-7s are never super entertaining, and then like other than that, like Hawks Bucks wasn't amazing, but
Yeah. Like when I was in Michigan, we had like 6 channels or something, or like 20. I don't know, but we didn't have Wi, so we would just hook my dad's, and we have unlimited data, so it didn't really matter. But it was still like we didn't really have a ton to do, so we would watch the basketball games every night, and there was like, it felt like there were 10 straight excellent games.
yeah.
Like
Well,
it was Game 7 of Hawks Bucks, and then the first series, or no, Game 7 of Bucks Nets, and then the first 3 games of the Clippers series, the first 3 games of the Bucks, or the first 2 games of the Bucks Hawks series. Like it was really,
Yeah.
it felt like we had like. And going back to the second round too, like the last game of the Jazz Clippers series was awesome.
I
Like,
mean, even in the the Clippers Mavs is a really good series.
yeah, like there was a week straight where every game was close, every game was well contested.
Yeah.
Like this was the most balanced playoffs we've had in a long time, and I think it was really good.
Yeah. And it's not over yet. We're recording this before the finals is
Yes,
over. But
Game
still.
5 is tonight. So yeah, let's talk about the finals.
Let's talk about the finals. So far, we're looking like a Clippers Mavs situation where both teams are just winning at home.
Yeah, so the first 2 games, it felt like it was kind of over.
Yeah.
Like it felt like, and I don't like to say it's over after 2 games, and I made a TikTok about this.
But it
and
was convincing.
And I was like, I don't think it's over, but but it does feel like Suns in 5 or 6 right now. And then
Bucks
Game
won 2
3
at home.
happened, and the Bucks just blew them out. And Devin Booker was not good. Chris Paul was okay, but he wasn't great.
Yeah.
And then obviously, if neither of those guys are good, nobody else. Like they set the tone for the rest of the Suns, especially Devin Booker. And then Game 4.
Book had like what 40?
Game 4, I think, is one of the 3 best games in this entire playoffs so far.
Yeah.
Like it has the pivotal moments. It's got kind of a comeback. Like the Bucks were down 10. Booker was stupid. Booker was making everything.
And Chris Paul was also stupid, but not in a good
in
way.
the opposite way that he would have.
He had insanely bad turnovers. He couldn't hit a shot. He was playing like he's bad, which he's not.
At least Chris Paul. Like Chris Paul had the awareness to. I think he took like 8 shots or something.
I can check. I thought he took a little more than that.
Or maybe it was like 12. I think was he like 4 of 12?
I'll pull
Did
it
he
up.
only have 8 points? Maybe that was it.
I'm looking at it now. So Chris Paul, he had 10 points. He shot 5 of 13. But the more important part of that is, 7 assists, 5 turnovers. Like that's not That's not something Chris Paul has really ever done.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's rose-colored glasses a little bit. He had some really, really bad performances.
But
in the playoffs
7
with
to
the
5 is not.
Yeah, it would be more like 3 to 5 if he was on the Clippers. Still,
Okay.
he had so, dude. He blew it a couple times on the Clippers. It was bad, bro. But yeah, and Booker kind of, I don't know. It feels like this is. It felt like especially the Giannis block was kind of the turning point of this whole series. Like, it does feel like the Bucks are in it now. Like if they had lost Game 4, obviously down 3-1 against a really good team, you're not coming back from that. Suns probably close it out at home, and now it feels like
it'll go to 7, and it'll be decided. I think
it does feel like it'll go to 7, and I think the Suns will win tonight. I think the Suns are my Game 5 pick. The Walking Stick Arena, is it still called that?
I really don't know.
But the Suns home stadium has been rocking. It has been.
It's their first time in the playoffs since Steve Nash, and they're in the finals. So
well, yeah, it's like it has been. They have been the best crowd of the entire
Footprint Center.
Footprint Center. Okay.
That's dumb.
How long has it been since it was Walking Stick? I feel like that was like 2 years ago.
It has to have been.
The Suns have just like the Suns fans are kind of annoying, but like every fan base that's good is always annoying.
And again,
so
they haven't been to the playoffs in 10 years.
Yeah, they do have kind of an excuse. And they're not like Knicks fan annoying. They're just kind of like loud and cocky and like they're not like spitting on people like Knicks fans.
Yeah. Or Sixers fans.
Or Sixers fans. There haven't been any Suns fan moments where I'm like, oh, stay classy, Phoenix. Like I always have with Philadelphia.
The most annoying thing they've done is the free throw count for Giannis.
Where they go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
That was so loud.
Yeah. But it didn't even like really peak. Like
I mean,
most of the
compared to
time, it's always like right here.
Well, compared to like the rest of what
Yeah,
we're talking, that
that's
is
true.
significant. Headphone warning.
Yeah. 5 seconds in advance.
5 seconds
Probably would've been
after
a
it
little bit better.
happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the 10-second thing has probably been the most annoying part of this playoffs because they called that, and then every fan base was like, "Oh, we can just do that to harass him," and they're not even like it's not like they're counting 10 seconds. They're
I
counting
hate
like
how inconsistent the refs are with that call. They called it like twice in the middle of a random playoff game and haven't called it at all.
they called it a
otherwise.
couple times in the Nets series actually.
That's what I'm saying. They called it a few times in the Nets series, and they called it a few times other than
And they
that.
called it like once against the Hawks, but yeah, it's like
that you pick either call it or don't.
it does feel like though that the refs have their own internal clock, and they will call it if they pass that, but we're listening to the crowd count, and they're only doing it in like 8 seconds.
I know, but I'm saying like regardless, Giannis passes the 10 seconds more often than I think.
I don't think he does actually, because he passes the crowd, but like you'll hear the crowd get to 11, and if you really counted like, I think the refs are counting like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 like that, and
No, I get
the
that.
crowd is like 1, 2, 3. Like it is a little.
No, it's definitely
different.
faster, but there have been the problem I have with it is there have been times where he's clearly passed 10 seconds, they haven't called it, and there have been times where I don't think he has passed 10 seconds, they've called it.
Yeah,
They
no,
got
it
to either
is-
either call it or don't. But like,
It is a problem, and I feel
it's a
like he's
difficult-
gotten progressively better at free throw shooting.
I mean,
through
he
his
had
playoffs.
what was it, game 3 or 4 where he made like 7 of 10.
Yeah, like he's been like I think he went into the playoffs as like a 55 or 60% shooter, and now I feel very confident he's gonna make 2, miss 1, make 2, miss 1.
Yeah.
Which maybe isn't great, but it's significantly better.
It's
than
better
what
than what he was.
Like he
doing,
had that
though.
one game. I think he went like 4 of 12 or something against the Nets a couple games. Like,
Yeah.
and it feels like he used to be kind of a guy, not like Ben Simmons, but he felt like a guy that you could put at the line and pretty much he would miss 1, early, at least like earlier in this playoffs. And now he's like, you can put him to the playoffs, especially in late. You can put him in the line, especially in like later game, and he's gonna make 2.
Yeah. I don't know how much that'll keep up though.
Yeah. Is that it?
I think so. I mean, that's all we have for playoffs.
Yeah.
You
Covered the
said
draft.
what's your prediction? I think Bucks in 7. I think it'll be like a
You
Mav.
said Bucks?
I think it'll be like a Mavs Clippers thing where they'll go back and forth, and then in 7.
They win the last game on the road.
Yeah. I think it'll play exactly like that.
I'll say Bucks in 7 too. I think that Chris Middleton is a fine wine. He gets, well, Chris Middleton is a fine wine. He gets better as the series progresses. Like a lot of those really bad Chris Middleton games, it's in like games 1, games 2, and games 3. And then games 4 through 7, he's either pretty solid or Michael Jordan. But he's not having these like 4 of 17 games in the last couple games of the series. So I think the Bucks are going to have at least 2 really good players. I think the X factor is Drew Holiday in this
Whether
series.
he'll miss his layups or not.
Yeah, I think Drew Holiday. I do think that the Bucks can win in 7. I think it'll probably go Suns and Bucks. I think tonight is a close game, and then I think Game 6 will be a blowout. I think tonight is going to be a close game, but Suns probably pull it out by like 5 or 10. And then the Bucks go back to Milwaukee. They blow them out, and I don't think either team will really be trying because I think they both know this series is going to 7. And then Game 7, they go back to Barefoot Arena or whatever in Phoenix, and it's a really close, great game, and the Bucks pull it out. And
I think it's either one. I think either the Bucks win in 7 or the Suns win in 6.
ooh, I don't know. I think the series is going to 7 regardless, and I think I would take Bucks just barely.
I think it's more likely that it goes to 7, but the only other outcome I could think of is Suns in 6. I don't think
you think if it goes to 7, Bucks win?
Yes. Which I think it's more likely to go to 7 than not, but I also think it's either it goes to 7 or the Suns win in 6. Like they just win these next 2 games.
Yeah. I think I would agree with that.
Watch, you know what's going to happen now? The Bucks are going to win in 6 because I said
Yeah.
both of those things.
And Giannis is pretty clearly the Finals MVP.
If they win, yeah.
like, I think he could have.
It's either Giannis or Booker. I mean, depending on which team wins.
If the Suns win and they give it to Chris Paul, I would be pissed.
Yeah.
Like, I like Chris Paul. I'm fine with him, but like Devin Booker deserves this. This is Devin Booker.
Devin Booker is the fine.
Devin Booker has. If the Suns win, Devin Booker is the playoffs MVP.
The only way I can think if they give it to Chris Paul is if in these next 2 games he drops like 20 and 15 and 30. Like, you remember against the Nuggets, he had the like 42.
He's got to have a couple. I think he has to have like a 40-point game, honestly.
Yeah.
Because Booker had that 40-point game and they lost.
Yeah.
Like, and
they lost because of Chris Paul.
And they lost because of Chris. Like, you can't, if you're the direct reason your team loses a finals game, I can't think of a guy who's done that and won finals MVP.
Yeah. I mean, what's his name won finals MVP and they lost the championship. It was like the only
Jerry
like
West in like 1967.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think if the Bucks win, it's going to be Giannis, and I think it would be unanimous.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
even if Chris Middleton pops off.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That is it. I believe so.
All right. Check out. Do you have anything you want to plug? Our Twitter.
Our Twitter's in the description. And neither of us really upload on YouTube anymore. Outside of
but
the
I
podcast.
upload on TikTok almost daily at Aiden Hammond Sports.
I do not.
And then on Twitter at Sports Hammond. If you want, I have 14 followers. I boast 14 followers on Twitter. My sports
Make
Twitter
it 15.
account.
I didn't know about this account. So
yeah. I'm most active there on Twitter now. I used to have like a personal account, but now I just like to interact with sports on Twitter.
And outside of this podcast, I have almost no social media presence.
Yes.
So you will not catch me on anything.
You won't. I've tried.
Yeah. I might actually. You know what? I'm thinking this summer. Call me crazy. I might make an Instagram post.
Ooh, I'm gonna make one in Chicago. I think.
I'll probably do one that's Chicago in the fantasy draft. We take a picture in our suits and stuff. But
we're gonna go to Chicago.
Yeah.
If the Bulls Arena, I think the Bulls Arena is open throughout the summer. Ooh. Like I think the Pacers is too. Like you can go into the store and stuff. So maybe we could go to the Bulls team store and stuff.
I'd be down for that.
There's a Michael Jordan statue right outside.
Mm-hmm. They also have a team store, or not a team store, but like they have a Chicago memorabilia store on the Navy Pier.
Yes, we're gonna walk all around Chicago, dude.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so fun. I'm gonna spend like my job pays me in cash. I'm gonna bring like $600 and probably spend it all. I'm so pumped.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get so much. I'm gonna get jerseys and stuff. I'm gonna go to like some secondhand stores and
I want to.
Secondhand stores in Chicago are definitely gonna have some good jerseys.
Oh, for sure. As much as I want to get stuff, I just really want to try like the street food.
That too.
But yeah, that's not part of basketball.
Oh, Waffles and I were talking about this.
We should probably end the podcast.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
But
bye.
Yeah, see you guys.
Bye.